Hello guys and welcome to another lap time challenge video on my channel. In this one I'm going to show you the combo of Gran Turismo Indy circuit, and we are in this Polestar 5 car, a brand new car in the update from Spec 3. As you can see, the top time at the moment is by Jeddah, which is a 49.727, a very good lap to be honest. I think my optimum will be around there, but as you can see, my lap time is a 49.820, which is current fourth in the world, and it's also, at the time of recording, the highest replayed available lap time you can use. And as you can see with the power graph of this car, well, it's an electric car, so it's got pretty much instant torque, and it has the same amount of power until you get to the high revs. But since it's Gran Turismo circuit, you won't be going that high in revs anyway, especially since it doesn't have a gear. So anyway, without further ado, go on board my fastest lap, and after I'll describe to you how I achieved my lap time. So I would appreciate a like and a sub if you find it helpful and enjoy the lap I'm about to show you, etc. But without further ado, let's get into the lap now. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed the lap I just shown you. Now I'm going to try to describe to you the sort of references I was looking for to achieve that lap time. This lap time actually took me a very long time to do. I did a 49.87, like 3 I think it was, within very quickly actually, maybe half an hour. But after that, I probably spent another 2 to 3 hours trying to get down to a 49.820, just so I could get a top 10 time so you could follow my ghost, etc. Anyway, keyword for this I would say is braking. The reason I would say braking is because in this car you don't really trail brake, and you have to turn very early as well, I feel, to get the car to actually turn into the corner. Because some corners I feels like they're cambered, especially in this car. So anyway, I'll get more into that in a second. So I'm as you can see, I've paused before the last corner. The reason I've paused here is because what I'm going to be showing you is what I would do to start the lap, but I would not be doing this to end the lap because it's a lot slower than what you would do to end your lap. So without further ado, go as far wide as possible, and by the time you want to accelerate, you want to be at least 40 miles an hour to start a lap by this point. And initially you want to be about 60% throttle, because that's enough power where the car will pick up speed quite quickly and it will not understeer too much. If you put any more throttle down, it may even oversteer as well. So initially you want to be 60% throttle at this point, and try to stay as wide as possible, but you do want to turn in a bit towards the inside, just so that you don't understeer too wide as you run out of track distance on the exit. So like this, as you can see, I was initially 60% full. As soon as I felt like I had the traction and I had enough of an angle, I full throttled the exit. And you want to start the lap, I believe it was around 134 miles an hour when you get to the start finish line. If you start something like that, you are sacrificing time already. So focus on the exit to make a good start to the lap. But anyway, turn one. The first board, which has 3 lines on it, I brake about half a car length after it. As soon as I start to brake, in fact, maybe even slightly before it, I am turning already, quite heavily as well. Maybe even full lock. It was quite a bit of turning lock anyway. And you want to be 100% brakes all the way until you're close to the apex of the corner. And you want to slow down until you're about 73, 74 mile an hour. It depends how wide you do the entry. But I'm going to pause it a bit further around the corner. Actually, let me just go back quickly so you can see exactly where I'm braking. So I'm braking about right here. So as you can see, I'm about half, yeah, like I said, half a car length after the board. That is exactly where I'm braking for this first corner. Like, as you can see, I'm already turning to the right. It's only going to turn more to the right as I get more around the corner. And you'll see my braking input, it's going to be 100% for quite a long time. And I'm going to trail brake towards the end of the braking zone. About 40% braking input, I believe. So now you'll see me trail brake. And you can either try cut this part a bit, as long as you've got your left wheels off this curb, or just don't touch the grass at all and focus on the exit speed. Either way works for me. I think it's slightly faster if you go over the grass a bit, but it is a bit sketchier and it's a bit harder to pull off. If you're doing this line, aim for about 73 mile an hour, 74 mile an hour. If you're doing the normal line, I'd aim a bit lower, unless you sacrifice your entry speed for braking point. I'd be aiming for about 72 mile an hour if you were to do a normal line, but you'll be able to go on the throttle a lot earlier. I'd say about halfway around the corner you want to be on throttle. So basically, as soon as you get to about this part of the track on your screen, that's when you'll see me go 100% throttle. Next corner, depends how you exit the first corner, but I literally just used this shadow here. And I broke basically towards the end of this shadow here, about a quarter of a car length before it, I would say. I was about 110 mile an hour before I hit the brakes. So just obviously it depends how you do the first corner, but I'm braking just before the end of this shadow. In fact, let me go here. I'm braking about here. There you go. As you can see, basically when my car has just passed the light green ashtray bit here, and as you can see where the shadow is, I'm about a quarter of a car length before the end of this shadow here. What you're going to be doing, is I'm going to be braking 100% again, and I'm going to be turning early again because you need an early apex here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to do this corner in like a V shape. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be turning early just to minimize the distance. I'm going to go slightly deep in, about a quarter of a way off the apex, basically a car length off the apex, I will say, or car width, I should say, sorry. That way, it'll give me a good angle to put a bit of throttle down and get my car rotated so I can carry good momentum out of the corner. So I'm going to pause it here. So you want to be about, like I said, about a car width of the inside of the curb here. You'll see me, as soon as I get down to, I believe it was 37, 38 mile an hour range, you'll see me start to put about 50-60% throttle, just so that, again, it's another throttle where I gradually pick up the speed, but it also rotates really nicely without having understeer or oversteer. So you'll see me being 60% throttle for quite a bit of time until I've straightened, until my car lines up to the exit curb, where you'll see me start to put 100% throttle down. Try use all the exit curb if you can, but I would say leave the curb before you get to like when this barrier starts to stick out, because you need to open up this next corner. On this lap, this is the one corner I messed up on. The rest of the lap was very good. So if you were to do this next corner slightly differently to me, feel free to, because this is the corner I messed up a bit on. But I'll explain to you what I should have done instead. But first I'm going to show you what I did. So as you can see, I'm going to be turning to the right just to open up for this next corner, and you aim to have your car basically go like this. If you follow mouse, you have it turn, you start to turn left, and you will aim to have your right wheels just be as close to the outside curb as possible. By the time you get, I would say, about halfway across the curb, you then slow down enough where you don't need to be on the brakes anymore, and you let the car coast into the corner and carry good speed and momentum out of the corner. But this is what I did on my lap. By the way, braking reference first, I used the second last shadow here. I brake between the second last shadow and the last shadow here. You brake very early for this corner, because if you brake later, you're just going to understeer off here, or you'll just go too deep and lose a ton of time in the next corner. So, brake early. It's better to brake early than late on this corner. Let me just pause to you where I am braking. So it is around here. There you go. As you can see, for the front of my car, I've just gone past this second last shadow here. Brakes just after it, and I released the brakes a bit earlier on this particular lap. As you'll see, as you will see. Oh my goodness, third time lucky. As you will see, I'll lose time on the exit here compared to the top guys. I'll explain how you can see that in a second. But yeah, just watch. I aim to be about 61 mile an hour by the time I get to the apex there. As you can see, I missed the outside curb. I have to delay the throttle because I don't have the right angle, so I'll lose a bit of time on the exit, about half a temp I believe. This next corner, I'm actually going to go back because I need a bit of time to see my braking reference for this corner, so I'm going to pause it here. The reference I was using is, I'm going to actually go to walk mode here, so you see this little like outside curb, it's not a curb but you know, little extra part of the track here with like the square grids. I brake. So it starts here, there's a little extra bit here, and then there's this little extra bit here. I broke on this second extra bit here. So I'm going to pause it right here. As you can see now, I've just gone to the next extra part of extra road here. I have just started turning now, and you'll see me just do a small trail brake. At this point, you're going about 110 mile an hour, I believe it was. And you could be slowed down all the way down to like 86, 87 mile an hour. And you'll want to be on throttle quite early, because if you get your left wheels on the inside curb, it can drag you around the corner quite a bit and open up for this very tricky last part of the corner. So I'm going to just plate in full now until we get to the apex. So you see me just, actually, I'll pause when I start to brake, which is coming up. There you go. I've just started to lift, so I'm about to brake here. You don't want to brake any later than this, personally. So basically, you can use the end of this barrier as well as your braking reference. But like I said, it's just a small tap for the brakes. And you want to let your car coast into a corner a bit. Because this is an electric car, they tend to coast around the corners quite well. Because there's no such thing as engine braking, really, in this car. It does it by itself because obviously it's an electric car. You're not using gears to slow the car down. It's just doing it already since it's an electric car. Basically, as soon as you go off the throttle, the rest will just drop a bunch. So you'll see when I play now. Watch the rest. It just drops. Let me just go back. I want to see how much I'm using the inside curb here. Quite important. So right here. Aim to have your left tires go as much on this curb as possible because it helps drag your car around. Oh, my apologies. Wrong button. So like I said, I'm aiming to be about 86, 87 mile an hour here. So you want to be this much on the curb if you can help it. You want half your car on the curb, is what I'm trying to say. Try not go too wide at this point either. You want to have at least a car width of space just so that you can turn in early enough and stay on the inside here. Very important you do that for the last part of the corner. So here, I'm on throttle. As soon as I get to this part, you'll see me start to lift and turn to the right. Basically, as soon as you go past this sector 2 line, that's when you'll see me start to turn right and lift. If I'm just going to do that. It's quite hard to describe it in slow mo. You basically just have to get into a rhythm and get used to it. You'll start to see me turn anytime now. I started to turn right now, so you'll see now I've just lifted and broke a bit. I'm braking. I can't really give you a reference speed. You just have to trail brake. I'm going to play it in full first, just so you can see what I'm doing. But basically, turn early. You can have your right wheels touch this part of this curb here, but just don't go too much from the grass because I believe it does give you a bit of dirty tyres if you use too much grass here. So if you want to use a bit of extra road, make sure you turn in time to use that extra part of the track without going too much on the grass. So I'm going to play in full first, but I will go back, don't worry. So there we go, that's what it should look like. Now I'm going to try to describe to you what exactly I'm doing. So I'm going to pause it when I get to the right part here. So right here, As you can see now, I'm braking 40% here. Keep that much brake pressure, because if you put any more brake pressure, you're going to understeer. And this is enough brake pressure where you start to slow down nicely, not understeer too much, and it will slow down just enough by the time you get to this last corner that you don't need to put any more braking input in, and the car is already turning in a bunch, so you can carry a lot of speed and go on the throttle early. So I'm braking 40% here, but I'm going to play it a bit, and you'll see my braking pressure does not really change at all. I put a bit more brake pressure when I get on this straight part of the track here. So when I feel my car is going in a straight line, I put maybe 60% brake input in. But as soon as I start to turn in more for the last corner, I go to about 30 to 40% brake pressure again. Just so that I'm still able to turn as much as I want to without going too deep and understeering. Stay as close to the inside curb as possible. Extremely important, because that's where the grip is. And it might be slightly cambered as well. Sorry, I had a little hiccup. I was aiming to be 50 mile an hour first last corner. You'll see, maybe slightly so, maybe 48 mile an hour initially. But what you're going to see me do is, as soon as I go down to about 48 mile an hour, you'll see me very briefly go to about 60% throttle. This is enough where your car will rotate round, so you can carry a bit more speed and have a better angle to get out of the last corner quicker. But you'll see me drop the power down, drop the throttle down a bit again, before you see me carrying on, going about 80% throttle to pick up the speed without understeering too much. And then as soon as I feel my car has enough of an angle where I can go full throttle without having oversteer or too much understeer, then you'll see me go 100% throttle. So right here, about 48 mile an hour. As you can see, I'm very close to the apex. You'll see now, just see my throttle go up. You'll see it go to 60%, and then you'll see it go back down again. Watch. That's enough to get the rotation in, and I had about 80% throttle input, and then I went straight back to 50. You would have heard this tyre screeching. That's a good thing, because that means the car was rotating at that point. When I heard that, I put the throttle down to 50% again, just to keep it stabilised and not understeer too much. As soon as you start to hear it a bit less, you'll see me go back on full throttle. Carrying on turning a lot, but don't put full turn input where you'll oversteer or understeer too much. You need about 70% turn input from this point on. Watch. And use the inside line to minimise the track distance. And right there, it's a 49.820. I'm extremely happy with that lap, honestly. I think I could do a mid-7 if I was to nail everything. So if the top time is a 7.27 or whatever it was by the time of recording, if it's like this on the last day, I'll give it another go, just to try to get first place. But I'm very happy with that lap, and it will take some doing for me to beat that personally. But now I'm going to go over this lap very quickly again. What I'm going to just be doing is pointing out the braking point and how much apex speed to roughly carry. So here, you brake in about half a car length after this first board here. Aim to be about 73, 74 mile an hour. 100% brake input until you get close to the apex, where you start to trail brake about 40%, and then as soon as you're halfway around the corner, put the full throttle down. Balance the throttle about 30-40% in this race as well, just to keep the car stabilised. This corner, braking about a quarter of a car length before the end of this shadow after the curb has ended on the left side of the track here. Aim, turn extremely early, brake 100%. You should hopefully slow down enough. By the time you get to 38 mile an hour, you are close to the inside curb, and then you can put a bit of throttle down to rotate the car, and then go full throttle earlier out of the corner and carry as much speed as possible. Veer off to the right as soon as you get off this curb. Brake just after the second last shadow on the left here. Try to have your right wheels just touch this red and white part of the curb to open up this left part of the corner. Aim to be about 60-61 mile an hour by the time you get to the entry of the corner. As soon as you get to the entry of the corner, and when I say entry of the corner, I mean the beginning of the curb on the left side of the track, that's when you can put the throttle down, but not 100% immediately. You want to be about 60 to 80% at first, just to get your car rotated and pick up the speed. But as soon as you get onto the outer curb, you can then easily put 100% throttle in. This corner, the second spare part of the curb, once that shows up, turn, brake a bit, down to about 86, 87 mile an hour, use as much of the inside curb as possible, let the car coast, and as soon as you get past the sector 2 line, you want to turn right, put about 40% braking input. As soon as your car's going straight a bit in the braking zone, put about 60% braking input in, and then as soon as you start to turn in, put about 30% braking input in. That's enough to slow down your car enough and to rotate enough of the car so you can put the throttle a bit earlier. You can pick up the throttle a bit earlier and carry more speed on the exit. So use the curb, let the car coast. After S2 line, turn to the right, 30, 40% braking, 60% braking, back down to 30%, let the car coast, 48 mile an hour, 60% throttle initially, and then back down to 50, and then all the way up to 100%. Do the inside line, and that should easily get you your goal time, hopefully. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll answer to the best of my ability. I'm showing the lap in kilometers an hour for a lot of you guys who use kilometers an hour, just to give you an idea of how much kilometers roughly you should be taking at each corner. But now I'm going to show you how to get to the event and the 2 ways to see my lap time, and I'm going to very briefly talk about the data comparison thing. More than 9 a second. But anyway, like and sub as well if you found it helpful. But now I'll show you how to get to the event. Cheers. Hello again, guys. So, first way to see a replay of my lap I just shown, you can go to showcase and bottom left of this home section, go to content search, go to replays, and then the best way to find my replay is just to type my name in, which is, of course, Kelster, in case you didn't know. And it is, where is it? There you are. It'll save the lap time here of a 049820, like that here as well, so you can view it here. Add it to collection if you want, just so in case I improve and I'm no longer in top 10, you've still got a replay of my lap. And to get to the event is you go to sport mode in the top right of the home section. I believe it's cafe menu level 7 or something, in case you have sport mode. I think. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, and then it's online time trials, and it is this Polestar 5-time trial challenge 2025, which is quite a big deal, because if you get first place, you get to go to the World Tour Finals as a spectator, I believe. So it might be worth you guys giving it a good go. But anyway, it's in the Polestar. It's already equipped with sports hard tyres, but you can go to qualifying time rank here. And then I should hopefully be top 20 throughout this event, so you'll easily be able to find me. You can play my replay here, and to load it goes to my lap time. Enter the event, of course, and then same thing here. You go to the ranking board. Find me, press load ghost, and then play around with the ghost settings here. So you can have it reset after each sector with this button on, which I recommend you would, so just so you can react to what I'm doing, my brakings and that. And then if you were to have on my ghost, I would turn your personal ghost off and make sure this is on as well. And I'd probably have it start 2 or 3 times ahead, just so it gives you enough of a reaction time to react to my braking, etc. What I'm going to quickly show you is a lap comparison between me, and I'll do it to Lewis as well, because I very briefly saw Lewis's lap. So right here, and just so you can see, 2 ways of doing our lap. So I'm going to pause it here. As you can see, I am going to be this blue line here. Lewis's line is the yellow line. So I'll keep mainly an eye on this graph here. This graph basically here, so the blue line, this is the top speed chart here. So this is in kilometers an hour, because I'm currently using kilometers an hour, just to show you guys. So here is for kilometers an hour, and then I believe you can change how much you zoom in here and zoom out here. I don't know if you can do it. Oh, you can. Okay, so you can zoom this part in as well if you go to the left and right. So left zooms out, right zooms in. So follow this here. So remember, I'm the blue line. This is a yellow line. You see that I turn earlier than him, and you'll see I gain about a quarter of a tenth on this corner. This corner, as you can see, we break out about the same point. If anything, I break slightly later than him, because as you can see on the graph here, My blue line is above his yellow line, meaning I've broken later since I'm carrying more speed going into the corner than he is. But as you can see, my minimum apex speed is also lower than his. But I also get on throttle slightly earlier than him. You'll see that because I go deep in. So you'll see I'm braking later, so I'll be going deep in. And since I'm a bit deep in, I'm off the inside curb. But because I'm off the inside curb, it gives me enough an angle to put the throttle down a bit earlier. So as you can see, I go a bit deep in. I turn in earlier, but because I've gone a bit deeper, I've more of an angle to get on the power. And Lewis is a bit wider than me, so he has to turn in more. So that means I carried a bit more exit speed here. So right here, as you can see, I'm just ahead. But this is how I knew I lost time, because if you compare here, I turned it earlier, I'm off his inside curb, and because Lewis has got a wider entry, you'll see he goes on the throttle earlier than I do. And plus he's got a better angle. As you can see this yellow line, that is a better line because you have more room of margin, which means you can go on throttle earlier and carry more speed in general. As you can see, that's how much delay I put in throttle timing, so I'm carrying less speed, and you can see my blue line is just below his yellow line the whole time, so I'm losing time throughout this straight here, and as you can see, the gap is actually in the red now, so I'm behind. But this corner, I brake quite a bit later than him, but I do brake slightly more because, as you can see, my blue line is above his quite a bit here, but by the time we get halfway through the corner, it literally matches up throughout the rest of the corner. But then you'll see, I'll pulse it right here. I am braking a bit earlier. In fact, I'm on the throttle a bit later, sorry, which is why his yellow line goes back above me. But his goes down a bit quicker than mine because I'm braking slightly later than him. But that's because I am more to the left side of the track compared to him, which gives me a better angle to do this last corner. And this is where you'll start to see me gain time, because I can go deeper in since I'm more on the left, and I can stay on the inside just to minimize distance. And because I timed my throttle very well, you'll see I stayed quite a bit ahead of him until the finishing line, which is why you see the lap time differences between the two of us. So that's just our way of doing our lap times, and hopefully that's helped you a bit on the sort of lines you should be doing. And if you can do exactly my lap except for turn 3, if you do Lewis's lap, then my lap could have been a 49.770 area, which would put me 3rd place. So that is the difference. But one corner makes half a tenth difference. That puts me a lot closer to 1st place. So the data logger is extremely useful in my opinion, and I would recommend using it if you can understand how to use it. I don't fully understand how to use it yet, so that's literally the first time I've just used it, and I was only looking at the lines on the bottom of the screen and the lines on the top of the screen on the graph, so I could dictate if I was braking later, braking earlier, on the throttle later, etc. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this little segment at the end. Like I said, comments, any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll answer to the best of my ability. This is available between the 4th of December and the 11th of December, since this is a 1-week event. If you're in 1st place by the end of this event and you're old enough to get to the World Tour Finals as a spectator, well, you get a ticket to go there. So I wish you the best of luck in this. Any questions, like I said, I will answer to the best of my ability as always, and I would appreciate a like and a sub as well if you found this helpful. Cheers guys, and the best of luck. But main thing, enjoy, because if you don't enjoy, don't play. See you later.